good morning, everybody, and welcome to TLC Live. Today, Orlando Sanchez from Montana and my co-host for the day and first time, Joel Castro. He's a friend of TLC, and also he's an Alvin, Texas Councilmember at large number 2.
Yes, ma'am. Yep, excited to be here. Love everything TLC is doing. Y'all have helped me out along the ways in several different ways, and so
So, how do you say howdy?
howdy, yeah,
Howdy.
howdy. That's
That's
how
what you
that's
say
how we
hi.
say in Alvin, Texas.
Howdy.
Yeah, I have the opportunity for serve the city of Alvin for almost 6 years now. Was there when I got elected when I was 18. Now currently 24, and proudly serve my community and helping to make Alvin the best place for families to live, work, and worship.
And now you're 24.
Yeah, I'm a big boy now. I don't have a bedtime. I can do what I want when I want, and I got big boy bills. So yeah, but I enjoy it.
Yeah, so we were talking about when you got here, like, you're the only one that is aging, not me.
Yeah. We said I'm now known Andrea for 6 years now, and I said, wow, I've aged in the 6 years, and Andrea has negative age. She's gotten younger.
I'm getting younger and younger. So Orlando, how you been? Tell us about Montana. You just show us when off the air. You show us the big view over there in Montana, the beautiful view.
Well, yeah, that's why they call it Big Sky Country. By the way, when we met Joel, when TLC got started, he wasn't old enough to buy an adult beverage.
He wasn't.
So
I know.
I'm sure that time has gone by. Are you still Mayor Pro Tem of Alvin?
No. So no longer the mayor pro tem. But I
Soon
was
to
mayor
soon
pro
to
tem
be
for a year.
mayor.
No, not mayor. We have a new mayor coming in, and I'm excited for him to be able to take the helm and lead us into the next generation.
So, Joe, let's talk a little bit about national politics.
Oh,
There's a lot of Trump on the air, and I get requests for interviews all the time asking me my thoughts. And I say, well, as long as the media continues wall-to-wall coverage on Mr. Trump, he's sucking up all the media attention. And as we know in politics, that's earned media. It's free. If you
I think
open
the
the
media like. I
newspaper,
think
if you
the
go
media
to
likes
social
it that
media,
he's. Yeah.
if you go to any of the news broadcasts, it's all Trump. And so, not surprising, the NBC poll came out the other day, and he has 70% of the primary Republican voters. How do you see it,
yeah.
Joel?
Well, right now, how I see it, I mean, he's the only one in the race in the Republican side. I mean, aside from Nikki Haley or there's another guy who announced. I think I mean, the polls.
DeSantis.
Yeah, the polls. Well, he hasn't even announced yet.
Yeah.
But the polls are clear that I think primary voters want to see Trump again. You hit on the head, Orlando. There's no such thing as bad publicity, right? And he's saving millions of dollars for not having to pay for advertisement. He gets his advertisement for free. The media is continuing to talk about him. We can hate the media all day long,
I know.
but they're going to keep on putting his face out there and promoting him.
And when he was president, he was 24/7 on the news.
Yeah.
And then Biden came as a president, and they slowed down a little bit, but somehow they keep bringing him to the news, and I think the media miss him.
Yeah.
Because he was feeding the media all day long. So I think they need content.
Well, I think a lot of people miss him, not just the media. The fact of the matter is, under Biden's administration, the American dream is continuing to be ruined. And if we continue 4 more years with Biden and his administration, Lord knows what's going to happen. But we do know is under the Trump administration, we had more money in our pockets. Americans had more jobs. America was more secure than it's ever been. And so people are missing what we had under the Trump administration. And I think people want to see a change. People are disappointed in the Biden administration.
So you guys, your thoughts about Biden announcing again that he's gonna run again? I mean, I don't know how.
Yeah, I don't know when that
He can barely walk. How he's gonna run?
But he can barely think. He can barely articulate a sentence. I don't know what makes him think that. I don't know when he's going to decide to retire. I'm sure he has pretty good retirement by this point, leeching all that money from the federal government since my mother's been alive. Actually, longer than my mother's been alive. He's been in elected office.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and
Well,
now he's the president of the United States.
the same NBC Universal poll showed that a pretty big swath of Democrats want someone other than Biden to run. So it's going to be interesting. And in head to head, it's a toss up. So it'll be a repeat of 2020. But it's interesting you say that, Joel. Talk about if you add up the numbers that Joe Biden and John Kerry and Nancy Pelosi have been in office, it's more than 160 years combined
Yeah.
on, on a government paycheck.
Yeah. Yeah, that's 160 years of problems. Like, think about it. Like under their leadership, we've gotten this tremendous amount of debt. We've gotten into these endless amount of wars. We've gotten into so many of these issues that we're having to deal with that the future generation is going to have to try to solve. Future generation of leaders. And it's because of people like Nancy Pelosi, like John Kerry and Joe Biden and Feinstein and all these people that have been there for decades. They have caused the exact issues that we're trying to fix right now. And I can't understand why people continue to support them. I can't understand why people want to see him 4 more years in office.
I think it's a lot of lack of information,
Yep.
or maybe it's a lot of disinformation.
Yeah.
Is lack of education on the people. People are just like passing social media and they're reading just
The headlines.
and they don't go really dig on the topics. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know how people are doing it these days, and also it's a lot of money from the government,
Yep.
and I think that's what people keeping wanted him to stay running for office or for president.
Yeah. And one thing about the conservatives, how we see it, because I think you're right, is the Democrats have done a really good job of just giving giving handouts, right?
Exactly.
Where as conservatives, we want to give you a hand up. We want to give you all the tools that you can be able to do to be able to live the best American dream and to live the life that you think that will be best for you and your family. But Democrats for so long have just been, oh, don't worry about that. You don't need a college degree. You don't need to start your own business. We'll take care of you. We'll send you a check. Don't
Keeping you down.
Exactly. Yeah,
Don't
yeah.
grow.
You don't need to, you don't need to
educate
start.
yourself. Nothing.
Exactly. Don't enable yourself.
Well,
Um,
let me jump in, Joel, because I'm not sure that you're aware that we conducted a poll of 1,200 registered Hispanic voters in Texas, which incidentally in the last 3 weeks has won 2 national awards. One was the Reed Award in Las Vegas about 3 weeks ago, and then I think last week we won the American Politics and Campaigns Award
Wow.
for our survey. But in that survey, Joel, 63% of Hispanics that do not identify as conservative or Republican were bothered by the Democratic Party. And chief among those issues that bothers Latino voters is that they see the Democratic Party as the party of handouts, el partido de los vagos, the party of the lazy. That's pretty hard to shake up. But they certainly, since the 1960 with LBJ and the Great Society, they've sort of engrossed themselves under that moniker. I mean, they're seen as the party of handouts. And as we know, Latinos are not about handouts. They're about working, hard work, and building your own future and your own fortunes and not relying on government. So it's an interesting observation you say that, and our poll confirms that.
Orlando, I'll tell you one thing. So how I've got my conservative values is from my great grandmother. My great grandparents are have been a pillar in my life. They have shaped me into the man I am today. They've helped my parents out along the ways. But my great grandmother, right? I'm a second generation American. When she came to America, she worked her butt off. Right? She came here she worked to get her citizenship. She came here the right way. She didn't take any backdoor ways. She did it the right way. She worked hard for it. And because of her working hard, she was able to realize what the American dream was actually was. It wasn't some watered down, take it for granted that it's it's not something you're entitled to, right? It's something we're privileged to be in. And she was cleaning toilets until about 6 years ago. She's now 83, and she was
Wow.
cleaning toilets at a hospital for almost 40 years.
Wow.
She did that, and she never once took a dime for the government because she knew, even though times were tough, that she wanted to earn her money and that she did not want to be reliant on anyone else. And the fact of the matter is that she left Mexico because of a tyrant government, and she did not want to. She saw the effects of what big government does. Right? It shackles the people. They're not able to prosper, and so when she came to America, and ever since I was young, she instilled those values that you earn your money, you don't rely on anyone else, and especially the government. And it's because of her that really just made me the person I am today, and having those conservative values. And that poll that you told us, Orlando, that's phenomenal. My great grandmother, probably the most conservative person I know. She loves President Trump, and she that's because she knows that the American dream is worth fighting for, because she came here to live that American dream, and the people on the left are just trying to ruin it.
Joel, obviously anyone watching can tell there's about a 41-year gap between you and me. Uh, one of
I
the
won't be able
things
to
that
tell
I've
that,
always
Orlando. Yeah.
Right?
one of the things that I've always believed, and one of the reasons I started Texas Latino Conservatives, was that I saw a thirst in your generation to spread the word of conservatism and to value liberty and the Constitution and freedom. And I've been amazed as I've traveled the state, because tomorrow, I mean, I land tonight in Houston, but I got to get up in the morning to go down to the Rio Grande Valley to Far City, Texas, outside of Harlingen.
Yeah.
But what's amazing to me, whether it's you, whether it's Mayra Flores, whether it's Cassie Garcia, whether it's Michelle Gamboa, whether it's just a whole host of Dan Corrales, all the candidates that we've helped and are now in office,
Hmm.
it's your generation that is spreading conservatism and growing conservatism among Latinos. I'm curious to hear from you. When you go have a beer, now that you're over 21, when you go have a beer with your friends and you talk politics, what are the values of your generation? What are you hearing? What is it that they like about conservatism? Not necessarily the Republican Party, because sometimes, as you and I know, Republicans have strayed away from those conservative values. You talk about growing the debt and having a voluminous budget. That's the reason we got Trump as a nominee, because people got tired of the spending, frankly, of some Republicans. But what is your generation saying?
Yeah. Well, I just have to say to Andrea and Orlando, both of y'all actually practice what y'all preach. Orlando, you're exactly right. Y'all go out and support young Latino conservatives all across the state. And I, seriously, I know a handful of people that probably without y'all's help would not be where they're at right now.
And I raised
So
two conservatives.
yeah, exactly, and that's also
Yes.
very hard to do. But no, so seriously, thank you for the help of helping pass the baton to the younger generation and Latino conservatives as well. But to answer your question is, there's studies that show that I'm in Generation Z. And studies show that Generation Z is going to probably be the most conservative generation out there. There's multiple reasons why. Some of the reasons are because our parents were raised in the Ronald Reagan era. But nonetheless, is we have everything against us, right? We have academia against us. We have the media against us. We have Hollywood against us. Everything that is surrounding the younger generation, whether when we open up our phone, when we open up Snapchat, when we open up Twitter, we see headlines just attacking conservative values. When we go to college campuses and we try to learn about, just learn the facts. There's a tension of indoctrinations happening on our campuses, in the universities, and sometimes even in our K through 12 schools. People are realizing that is not right, that our younger generation can think for ourselves, that we are not beholden to anyone else, that we are perfectly capable of being able to think for ourselves. And I think that's where people, when you start explaining to them that, look, big tech is censoring your speech on Twitter, on Instagram, on Snapchat. You're being censored, right? No one wants to be censored on social media, especially my generation. When you tell them, look, they're trying to make you think this way. This is how they're trying to persuade you or indoctrinate you, and you explain it to them. A light bulb turns on in their head, and they're thinking, well, what the heck what's their narrative behind this? But then also I always tell people that history repeats itself. And we've seen the rise and the rise of tyranny all throughout history. We go back, actually, especially with young people. In fact, it's always been young people to pave the path forward for prosperity, for freedom. We go all the way back to some of the apostles that Jesus appointed. They were young people. They were people around the same age as me in their younger 20s. We fast forward to our founding fathers who declared independence from a tyrant government. These people were not older people. These people were younger people in their early 20s that decided they want to see prosperity. They want to be able to try this great experiment, and they test it out and they put their life on the line, right? We fast forward even more, to Texas. Sam Houston, he got started in politics in his early 20s. He was elected when he was 24 in Tennessee. And it's always been younger people that always would pave the path forward to keep the American dream alive, to build that American dream. When we stormed the beaches of Normandy, they sent young people out there to go fight against Nazi Germany. It's imperative for the younger generation right now to be able to stand up and fight for what they believe in, and to be able to preserve our conservative values, and be able to preserve the American dream, and to make sure that our kids and other future generations will be able to live in a better country than what we were raised in. Because we should always leave stuff better off than how we found it.
How do you deal with the challenge of social media? You've been talking and I've been hearing you, and you named social media several times.
Yeah.
And you were saying about Snapchat, Instagram, this. I just barely use Instagram and Facebook, and because my clients use Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah.
But you name so many things that I don't even touch, and I don't even understand.
Yeah.
And I see my kids, they don't text, and I always say, you guys don't text in a normal way. And they were like, Mom, what is normal way? Normal way for us is a Snapchat.
Yeah.
Normal way for me is text.
Yeah.
Or WhatsApp.
Yeah.
But that's it. So
you send them a telegram.
Yeah. So what is normal for me is not normal for them, and vice versa. Mm-hmm. So how do you deal with the challenge of constantly seeing in social media attacking the conservative values while you are conservative, and while we're trying to, pass to this generation? This is your generation, is the future of this country, is the future of the world, is the future in politics. And that's something, it's a gap of disconnection, because Orlando and I can do so much to try to promote the conservative values, but in your generation, you guys see different, and you guys consume things different, and you guys perceive things different. So how do you deal with that challenge?
So here's one thing that we have to do as conservatives and as a party is if we want to win the war, we got to get in the battlefield. We got to get in places that we've never been seen before, that may be a little bit uncomfortable for us. And I think one of those realms is social media. The left is all over social media. They're posting. They're trying to reach out to the younger generation, And the fact of
They're
the matter,
manipulating.
yeah, manipulating, indoctrinating. The fact of the matter is younger people don't really vote that much, right? But I'll tell you what, they will use their voice like a son of a gun, and they will also become voters one day. They will realize that they need to start voting, but it starts off right now, and so we have to be active in places that they're active. We have to preach our message, preach the gospel in places they are at. We got to evangelize and proselyte where they are at. We have to meet them where they are at, and share our message consistently and beat the drum. Because what we know is what our message is truth. Our message is what's really going to save this country. And there's you cannot hide from the truth, right? And so majority of people are going to be able to adhere to this message and be able to acknowledge it, and then be able to turn on the light bulb, just like so many Latinos down in the border, right? We're seeing more and more Latinos
And young Latinos.
vote Republican and run for office and even get elected, right? This was never a thought, but it's because we went in places that we've never been saw before. We went into the battlefield.
Yeah.
That's the number one
Us-
question I get from Republican county party chairs is what can we do to reach out to Hispanics? And I always say, get involved in the community.
Yeah.
Go to their churches, go where they worship, go to the grocery stores, go to their social functions. They're no different than anyone else. Andrea, do we have a guest coming on today? And
Yeah,
if
we
not,
were supposed
huh?
to have Daisy Palomo. She is running for
Okay.
Carrolton City Council Place 6. But she texted me that she got cut off with work and she's supposed to join us at 11:20, and she's not yet
Okay.
here. But let's talk about
Well,
the
well,
election
wait,
that
let
is
me
coming
just
up. Is May
hang on.
6th.
Hang on real quick before that. I'm going to let you and Joel finish the conversation because obviously I've got to get out to the airport and get back home. So, Joel, good to see you. Thanks for filling in. I
Of
really
course.
appreciate it. Keep up the good work. Keep spreading the message. You're a real leader. I mean, you started when you were 18, and you're still at it 6 years later. So we need more Joel Castros out there. Andrea, I'll see you in the morning, provided that all goes well with Southwest Airlines.
Uh, hopefully, everything comes
Yeah.
good with that.
Hey, Orlando, safe travels, and also thank you for all your support. And thank you for your kind words. But to be honest with you, there's no way I could do it without people like you supporting. So thank you.
Well, thank you. We're delighted. All right, you guys. We'll catch you soon.
All right, see ya.
Okay, bye. So before I want to ask you so many things about Gen Z because my kids are also Gen Z.
Yeah.
They just turned 18. You met my son.
Yep.
I don't know if you met my daughter,
I don't think I
but
have.
I'm sure you met my son,
Yep.
and they're twins. And I always say that they're twins. They just turned 18 last week, and we were going through the website to renew the driver license.
Mm-hmm.
So there were, a couple of questions that they ask you, and you just recently went through that like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And they ask you if you want to vote.
Yep.
And they were like so excited about that question. Like, of course we want to vote. And they can't wait to go vote, to go and out and vote for conservatives. Or in this case, Republicans.
Yeah.
I mean, let's call it the way it is.
Yeah.
And they were so excited. And of course, there are very particular and special kids because they born from a journalist mom,
Mm-hmm.
and it just happened that the mom also is in politics, or I just talk about politics. I'm involved in politics. I know politicians like you and Orlando, so they grow with that. But no, that's not the case for all the kids.
Yeah.
So my kids are they're very aware. They're more educated about the topic. They're involved in Turning Point USA,
Oh, great.
like you.
Yep.
Yeah. So my son just became a president of a chapter.
Good.
My daughter and also president of a chapter. And I just saw all the material coming to my house. And in my daughter's case, everything is pink. In my son's case, everything is blue and red. It's beautiful to see that. But of course, they have a mom like me. Not everybody has a mom like that. So I guess when it's the big challenge
Yep.
on the big challenge of your generation to get that information, and I bet your mom is pretty much my age. So
Yep.
tell me about the moms that is my generation, and we are moms like more tends to not staying home. We're like professionals and also moms.
Yep.
So my generation are more tends to be that kind of a woman.
Yep.
So are this generation of parents, which is my generation, are doing their job and passing the conservative values to the kids?
Yeah, I think.
Because you talk about your grandma,
Yeah.
but I want to hear about the moms and the dads.
So I'll tell you what. My mother actually voted for Obama. She voted for Obama. Now, my dad's always been a conservative, but my mother voted for Obama in 2008. But then she realized that Obama was probably one of the worst, aside from Joe Biden now. But at the time, Obama was.
But they were team up.
Oh, yeah. Now,
So
yeah.
it kind of like the same.
Yeah, now Obama's still
Yeah.
he's still running the show. But so yeah, so I mean she voted for Obama, but she realized that was the wrong decision to make because she didn't vote based off of policies or based off of stances. She voted, to be frank, based off the color of his skin. She thought it would be cool to have a
Minority.
a first black president.
And let's be honest, Obama speak amazing.
Oh yeah, phenomenal speaker. I mean, the dude could tell you the world's
So
burning.
it's just like
and
it's
people
like a music
yeah,
to your ears. So
Yeah.
like, okay.
yeah. But when she realized that that Obama was wrong for America and that Democrats were wrong for America, she spoke up. She started telling us about why this wasn't the case. And so to answer your question, are parents doing their job? I think yes. What you're doing is phenomenal. But what's even more important and what your kids are doing is to make sure that they relay their conservative values. To not be scared of what their teachers are saying. To not be scared of other
Social media.
Of social media or the false narratives that conservatives are beholden to. Like Democrats, we say we're a Republican. Democrats say, oh, well, you're a racist, you're a bigot, you're X, Y, and Z. And so what that does is just it makes most people say like, shoot, I don't want anyone to know I'm a Republican. I don't want anyone to know I'm a conservative.
Yeah.
But that should be the contrary.
Yeah.
We should be able to say, no, you're wrong.
Be proud.
Yeah,
Be proud of that.
I'm a proud Republican.
Yeah, or proud
and-
conservative.
Yeah, proud conservative, whatever it may be. And I'm nowhere near racist. And in fact, I want to make sure that all Americans, no matter the color skin, are be able to flourish, right? And so we have to make sure that people like in my generation do not cave to peer pressure and the narrative. And so what parents should do is to be able to make sure that their child feels empowered. Make sure that their voice is empowered, because the fact of the matter is when we go in and we talk and we start speaking to other people about our values and about what we believe in politics, we're going to get a lot of pushback. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to try to hate on us and to berate us. But what we have to do is not cave into that and to stand firm in our principles. And so I think that is what's most imperative for parents to do, is to make sure that their child feels empowered and that they should be able to relay their principles. And you've done a good job at that. I mean, the fact that they're already getting involved in Turning Point and they're still in high school,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that's great.
Yeah.
I mean, that's serious. That's
Well, I'm
phenomenal.
doing my job big
Yeah,
time. I'm
yeah.
just pushing a lot, but
Now make
for the
sure. Now they need to start block walking for Republican candidates too.
oh, they will.
Oh,
No,
good.
and my son already have done that.
Oh,
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
So Joel, this year we don't have presidential elections, but we have very important local elections,
Oh,
and one is coming up in May 6th. Actually, Monday start the
early
early
voting.
voting,
Yep.
and we have now joining us our guest. She is Daisy Palomo. She's running for Carrolton City Council Place 6, and her election is coming up on in May 6th, and early voting was still this week in early voting. So I know she was caught up a little bit with work, and I think she's in her car, but she is here with us. So
Yes.
Daisy, I met you a
Hello,
couple of
Andrea.
weeks ago in Dallas, and thank you so much for reaching out and for have the time to be with us at TLC Live, and tell us about your campaign and about why you decide to run for office. So welcome to TLC Live.
Thank you so much for having me. I really do appreciate it. You're right. I met you a few weeks ago at the Tejano Tough Tejano Awards, and I was really inspired by that event. Meeting you and meeting the other Tough Tejanas that we have representing our state. I decided to run for council along with my husband, and we decided that it was time for not only Latinos to stand up, but also I'm a conservative Christian and I stand by my faith. I really do believe that we need more faith leaders in office. And at this time, I said, if not me, then who? And if not now, then when? Those were the key questions. And so that's why I stood up and I said, I want to represent my city. We are a minority majority city. So, but that means that there's not one group that has the predominance in our city. And currently, we have 32% Latinos in our city. So, I want our council to reflect what our constituents look like and sound like. And I actually want to be an inspiration to young people, to young ladies who have the same upbringing as I did, and want to give this a shot and say, yes, I want to stand up and represent my constituents as well, represent my community, and sit on city council.
You're bringing a very important, interesting point that we've been seeing a trend not only in Latinos or young Latinos running for office, but women
Yep.
running for office.
Yep.
And we've been seeing that down in
Yes.
Rio Grande Valley. Give me a geographically location. Where is the city? Because I am from Colombia, even though that I've been in Texas for 23, 25 years, but I never heard about your city, for example. And I bet you that many of the viewers probably they don't even know what it is. So give me a geographical location of that and your background. What have you been doing these years, and what did you just start like switching? Like, okay, I need to start doing something else, but for my community.
Right. So Carrollton has been in the news lately. We are actually located a little bit north of Dallas, and Dallas is where I was born and raised. I'm a Tejana through and through, fifth generation Texan here. My family, my abuelitas and abuelitos, all spoke just Spanish, being born and raised in Poteet in San Antonio, Texas. So I'm really proud of that Texas Tejano heritage. But yes, I was born and raised in Dallas, Texas, more specifically Oak Cliff. And Carrollton is just 30 minutes north. We're between Plano and Frisco and Dallas. So we're a small city compared to our bigger neighbors, but we do have 135,000 residents in our city. So I like to say we're a large city, but with a small town feel. And we have a lot of vibrancy in Carrollton. We have a very nice historic area, historic downtown Carrollton, and we have a lot to offer. But here lately, I did want to bring up that we've been in the news, not so much in a great light. We've had three fentanyl deaths in our high school and middle schools, and several overdoses. So this is something that I really want to shed a light on. bring more awareness. And just this last week, Senator Cornyn came to one of the high schools, actually the high school that's next door to my church, where my husband and I are associate pastors, and we were able to listen from him and to hear his ideas and the things that he's trying to do with legislation in order to crack down more on fentanyl and make sure that these people are prosecuted that are bringing the drugs into our cities.
Yeah, jump in that topic because this is been
Yeah.
going on everywhere.
Yeah, Daisy, I'll tell you. I don't know if you heard in the beginning. So I serve on city council down in just south of Houston, and we're seeing an increased amount of fentanyl on the streets. I think everyone's seeing an increased amount of fentanyl. I saw something that fentanyl, if it's not the biggest killer, it's one of the biggest killers in the younger generation.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is, it's because of the open borders, right? Joe Biden.
Absolutely.
Honest to God, it's not a political talk. It's the facts that the cartels they're pouring fentanyl in our streets and killing Americans.
And killing our
killing our
kids.
youth.
Killing our kids in Carrolton, Texas. That's a shame. That shouldn't happen. But I can tell you what we need to do on a council level, and especially you, Daisy. When you get in, we have to make sure that we support our police officers, right? But that we
Absolutely.
increase their capacity, and so they are able that because a lot of times and that our police officers are more they're so busy they're not able to be proactive, right? And so that's why we need to be able to add more police, add to our force to restore law and order, right? So we can be able to go into these schools, to go into the community and be proactive and fight this fentanyl and this drug trafficking nightmare before it kills any more of our citizens, any more of our children. And this stuff should not be happening.
Absolutely. But not only that, I've been seeing on the news every single day more and more teenagers committing a crime and also being victims of the crime. I mean, this morning I was watching the news and it was 2 days in a row, one 14 years old and another 17 years old being shot just because they were one he was driving, the 17 years old was driving by Greens Point and got shot in the head, and the other one 14 years old, he was sitting in a car talking to his friends and he got a bullet, he shot, and his friends abandoned him.
Terrible.
So I mean, and every single day it's like our kids 14, 15, 16, 17. I was like, what is going on with these, young generation and kids, teenagers being involved in crime? I didn't see that before.
It's scary. I think a lot of that has to do is we're not punishing people for their crimes anymore. Yeah. We have woke DAs like y'all do in Harris County.
Yeah.
Daisy, what county are you in?
I'm actually in Dallas County, but Carrolton covers Dallas and Denton County and a small portion of Collin County.
So y'all got a pretty woke DA in Dallas County, right?
We do. And our district attorney right now, John Cruz, he is we call him Let Him Go Crusoe because our Carrolton police officers are working hard. They're arresting these people and sending them down to Dallas County, and John Crusoe is letting them go.
Yep.
Yeah, he sends them right back out.
That is a huge problem. And this should not be a partisan issue at all. This is strictly a public safety issue.
Absolutely.
And we're allowing these woke liberal DAs to allow criminals back on our streets and to continue to murder and rape.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
It really is.
And the fact of the matter is because of that, our police officers, the morale, because they're going to work hard, right, to make sure that they put criminals in jail, right? They're going to do their job to arrest these people. But when you have when they do all that work, because they arrest someone, then they have to do hours of paperwork. When they arrest them and they get they put them in jail, whether it's the city jail or county jail, and then that DA comes in and drops charges or let him out at zero out bond, right? That is, I mean, what's why would they want to do all that work, right?
Would you guys consider, you guys both from a small town, would you guys consider your town conservative?
Yes, ma'am.
You do. You do, Daisy?
Yes, and we want to keep it that way.
That's right.
Because it's very difficult from, both of you live in a small cities, but they're so close to the big cities
Yeah.
that they are completely the opposite.
Yeah. Well,
Are you guys afraid that this wave it's getting is gonna hurt somehow your small towns? Because it's growing. I mean, the community, the population is growing.
yeah. I tell you one of my concerns, and I think we're starting to see it in Alvin, Texas. We're seeing some Houston level problems. We're seeing some things that should not be happening in our town. But again, that's why it's so imperative to elect conservative council members that stick to their principles and be able to stand up for what's actually right. That's why it's imperative to elect people like Daisy that will do what is right for the citizens, even though when it may not be the most popular. But we got to keep our community safe first and foremost. We have to make sure that if I had a saying when I was running for office is I want to make sure our streets are safe so your child can walk to school. I walked to school when I was young, and that's because our streets,
No long time ago.
yeah,
Not
too long ago, not too long ago. But that's because my parents felt safe. We were in a safe neighborhood.
Yeah.
There was no worries of something bad happening. But there's a lot of areas where that's no longer the case.
Because what I've been seeing, and I live in Houston, I've been seeing a lot of people from big cities are moving to small towns, running away from this violence, running away from the crime, that everything that is going on in the big cities. But somehow I'm be seeing that because the population keep growing, the develops keep growing. So it is like somehow we start melting the big cities with the small towns, and it's just contagion the small towns, but not in a good way.
Yeah.
Like just passing the crime and passing the violence and bringing all the bad things from the big cities. And I think that's something that it concerns us as a conservative, because we always say the rural areas are, at least we still have hope on the rural areas to keep conservative. But I don't know till when.
Well, and Daisy, I'll let you hit on this too, but this is what I think is important. So I want people to come to our city. I love Alvin. I think heck, I think everyone should live in Alvin because it's really I'm proud of my little town, and so I want to be able to have people to come live and be an Alvinite. And so I'm never going to fault someone if they came from Houston, maybe if they came from California, but
Yeah, exactly.
we'll give them a hard time, but then we'll bring them on in. But that's why it's so important that council and city leaders and civic organizations work together to be able to cultivate a community that has that small town feel. I told someone a while back because they were concerned about the city growing, and I said, look, we have grown from this person was born in the 70s. And so I said, in the 70s and 80s, we have grown way more than where we're at right now, and we're still be able to keep that hometown feel. And I'm an adamant belief that hometown feel is not about the quantity of hearts in Alvin, but the quality of hearts in Alvin. And so as long as we cultivate the environment of making Alvin family friendly, business friendly, to make sure that people are able to be able to raise a family, grow a business, and worship. That's what's imperative, because when we do that brings in people who want to be able to give back to their city and live in a really good place. Daisy?
That's a very good point, Joel. Yeah, I feel the same way. Carrollton, everybody who comes here stays here. I
Yep.
moved here 15 years ago from Dallas proper in order to raise my family. My husband and I have a blended family, and we do have 7 children. Yes,
Yep.
7.
Wow.
And yes,
That's
and
a
they're
lot
all
for
young
Christmas.
adults. And yes, we take them on trips. We do more experiences than actual gifts. We think that
That's
lasts a lot
awesome.
longer.
Well, you can invite me to the next
Yeah,
trip.
so absolutely. I actually work for American Airlines, so it's great. Great benefit for us is our flight benefits, and we utilize that quite a
Oh,
bit.
great.
But back to Carrollton, I am endorsed by first responders, and it's a great city. Carrollton, we take pride in everything that we have and that we offer. But our first responders, our police and fire associations have endorsed me, and this is because I put public safety at the paramount of every
Mhm.
single initiative that I will propose.
Di-
Public safety, if it, just like you mentioned, Joel, if we can't have our children walk to school safely, then what are we doing?
Yep.
We need to make sure that safety is paramount in everything that we do. And that's not just where we live, but also where we worship, where our children go to school. Safety needs to be paramount, and it'll be ingrained in everything that I vote on as a council member when I'm on city council.
Daisy, that's phenomenal, and congratulations for those endorsements. I know that those
Thank
will
you.
go a long way. Um, First and foremost, with all public safety officers, first responders, um, they are the heroes without capes in our city.
Absolutely.
They go in and they put their life on the line for our city, and we have to
Totally
make sure
agree.
we take care of them. Like for Alvin, we have our firefighters. They're all volunteer.
Wow.
They go in
Yeah.
and they go into these fires, and they're literally putting their life on the line
Wow.
because they care about our city, because they want to serve our city.
That's incredible.
And
And that's the beauty of a small town.
yeah.
Everybody is like one family.
Oh, you're exactly right. That's something
Yes.
I love is there are so many people that I see throughout the city that I went to kindergarten with. And now we're grown up, and we have, some of us have families and are married. Some of us are out, having really good jobs, and it's really nice to be able to know your neighbor, and to be able to go to the store and see people, and just
Yeah.
ask about
It's,
how
it's a
how
big
their family's doing.
disconnection here in the big cities.
Yep.
But Daisy, call to action. Tell us where we can find you, how people can support you, and quick, just describe your issues and remind us about the elections day.
Okay, very good. So, again, my name is Daisy Palomo, and I'm running for Carrollton City Council, Place 6. Now, our early voting started on Monday this week, and will go through this coming Tuesday. And then Election Day is Saturday, May 6th. The way you can support me is please go and vote. Please share with your friends and neighbors who live in and around Carrollton to get out and vote. One of the things that I really want to iterate here is public safety is obviously my top priority, but we also have infrastructure and maintenance. And in our city, we've lowered our property tax rate for the ninth year in a row. And we are continuing to lower those property taxes to give our residents some relief, because we know that inflation is skyrocketing, and the cost of living is just going up and up. So we want to make sure that in our city we're taking care of our residents in that way. Um, you can also volunteer for me at the polls. I need lots of smiling faces, poll greeters, um, to greet the people who are coming out to vote. Um, and one thing that I wanted to talk about today on TLC Live is that I really want to um, lift up our Latino communities and say, your voice matters. I'm here to represent you. I'm here to represent all of Carrollton, but most specifically the people who are underserved, and probably, as Latinos in our culture, we don't like to speak up. We don't like to complain about anything. We take everything as it's given to us, and we're just happy to be in this country, happy to be in the United States of America, living the American dream. But I'm here to tell you that if if you could stand up, get out there and vote, your voice will go a long way. Your vote counts, especially in these local elections, more than any time. And I am so proud to be on this show with you guys. Andrea, Joel, you've been great. Thank you so much.
Well, Daisy, I also want to add for the folks that are not in Carrollton, what's also really good support is prayer. Uh, Politics isn't easy, Daisy. I'm sure you
Absolutely.
know, especially in local politics, it can be tough. So
Yes.
kudos to you for stepping up and going on a limb and wanting to serve your city. That is
Thank
amazing
you.
in itself. And so I'll be sure to keep you in my prayers. And if there's, if I can make some phone calls, you let me know. I'll be happy. You send me a list. I'll be happy to make some phone calls for you. I also want to say, Daisy, just a piece of advice. When you get on council, make sure that, and I know you will probably already do this, but I make sure I tell everyone this. But don't be a rubber stamp. Sometimes people tend to forget that we work for the taxpayers and not city staff. And so
Right.
make sure you always
Good
do
point.
what's best for the taxpayers, and that's continue to cut taxes. I would, increase homestead exemptions, but more or less, or nonetheless, do your research and never be a rubber stamps and never be afraid to ask questions.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Joel.
Of
That's
course,
great.
Daisy. Good luck to you.
Daisy, thank you so much. We're
Thank you.
looking forward for you to talk to you after the elections and to start your new journey as a council member. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You guys.
And also, when it's not only that city, but in all Texas, we're in the cities, we're gonna have a school district board members elections and also council members elections.
Yep.
And those are the elections that we always keep saying and highlight that those are the most important
Oh
ones.
yeah, yeah. Those are ones that affect you the most.
Yeah.
They have a daily effect on your life is school board and city council. Another thing that a lot of the local elections are having are also bond elections. So these
Oh yeah.
elections that will issue debt and could potentially raise your taxes, more than likely raise your taxes. But some of them, you should do your research on the elections in your area,
Bond the propositions.
bond propositions in your city. Make sure you get out, do your research, and make the best decision that you think is best for you and your family.
That's very important. So we have 5 minutes. I wanna before we go off the air, we wanna close this show talking about your experience not only in Texas Latino Conservatives from the moment that we started 6 years ago when I
Yeah.
met you, and then Leadership Latino, which is our organization under TLC,
Yep.
that we help people and we teach people and educate how to run for office, how to participate in the political field. So tell us 6 years later how TLC and Leadership Latino it's been or represent for you in your in your political life.
Yep. I'll tell you what, Leadership Latino has given me a lot of tools that it's essentially like a toolbox, right? And y'all provided me that toolbox, and with those tools taught in Leadership Latino, I'm able to use those tools to whatever's best. I remember vividly the press session when we're put in front of camera and Orlando just grilled us. And I remember thinking like, oh crap, like, he just came at me with a curveball, but it was a completely valid question. And I just didn't know how to answer. And Orlando was like, well, that was a bad answer, but we'll work on it. And he gave me pointers, and y'all were so patient with every single person there. And y'all really met them where they're at in their development, and really just helped them find their best potential when it comes to being a candidate. And so there's a lot of things in Leadership Latino that I use when I'm out and about. When I'm talking to people, when I'm in a council meeting, when I'm doing these style interviews, when I'm on stage giving a speech. Leadership Latino provided me a lot of opportunities that I would not have been able to learn. I would learn through the school of hard knocks, but because of that, because of Leadership Latino, I did not have to go through that. Y'all really gave me the tools to be able to be a really good vessel. Another thing is the tools that you equip me with is I'm a big proponent that I don't want to be the only young guy. Like I want more young conservatives
Yeah.
involved. I want more young conservatives elected. And so one of my missions is to be the resource that I wish I had when I first ran for office. And the tools that y'all equipped me with in Leadership Latino, I'm able to relay that to other people and say this is probably what you should do. You should think about this, and help them become the best candidate they can be.
And I can tell you the big improvement from the first time that I was doing videos for you and with you. I remember we were like doing videos in the first office that we have.
I know.
You, Michelle Gamboa, and I was like, coaching you guys. And look at you now.
Yeah, it took a lot of takes. There was tears shed in that one. Not from me. But I remember that. I can tell you're getting pretty frustrated with us.
I know. But look at you and Michelle Gamboa now,
I know.
city council member now, also the Longview City.
Michelle is phenomenal.
She's been doing an amazing job.
She is a stellar conservative for that community, and God, I'm just so proud of everything that
she's
Michelle's
a big
doing.
star. I remember bringing her when she was the executive director of Texas Latino Conservatives, and we threw her to the water. And because I took her to Univision, to Telemundo, to do interviews in Spanish.
Yeah.
And she was like, what am I going to do in Spanish? And she did great.
Yeah.
I was just like coaching her at the restaurant that we were having lunch, then on the way to the TV stations. And then we're like, and she did good. And look at that. Look at her now.
Now she's
English,
serving.
Spanish, everything.
Now she's serving her community. I think she's the youngest council member in Longview, like to
Like
ever
you?
be elected. Yeah.
Like you and Alvin, no?
Yeah, like me and Alvin. And so, and I mean, it's because of the help from TLC. Like y'all have helped develop us to become these public servants, to be able to serve our community. And there's not many organizations that can say they do that. So thank y'all.
No. Well, thank you so much for keep passing our message, for encourage more young Latinos and more young conservatives, because not only Latinos, but just conservatives in general. And that's very important. That's, it's like a mission accomplished, but it's still
lots of
to
work.
do.
There's a lot of work that needs to be done. It doesn't end anytime soon. In fact, it's just beginning.
So what would be the message from you after, all these years learning and still continues learning and being in this position? What would be the message for the young generation that is watching us?
Don't be afraid of your convictions. Stand up for them. Be true to yourself, and never be afraid of adversity. You're gonna face a lot of adversity coming up. And in fact, be able to encourage that, or not encourage it, but to be able to be a victor from it, because those are prime opportunities that will help develop you into a stronger leader, but to also give you the tools to be able to deal with situations in the future. And so, the piece of advice I can give you is stay true to yourself, be convicted, and never be ashamed of your thoughts,
and your values.
and your values, and be consistent. Also, keep on beating that drum, that conservative drum of that conservative message. There's sometimes you may think that you're talking to a brick wall, like we got behind me, but sooner or later that message will stick. Someone will hear it, and you'll be able to switch that vote. You'll be able to switch that person, which is going to be a generational switch. Their children they're going to raise them with the conservative values that you taught them. And so that's the advice I can give.
And to close and add to your comments, I will pass this to the moms and the parents of this generation, like me, that I just have twins that they just turned 18, and your mom that you just turned 24. But this generation, we have also a big job to do. We have a lot to do because it's depend on us if these kids continue with the values, conserve the values, and we have a big responsibility in this society because these kids are the future of our country, the future of the world. So that's why parents, we have a big responsibility, not only talk about the values, but bring the values and take them to church, take them to vote, teach them what is important in life, and don't let them just lose in social media and the world that we live in these days.
Yeah, and let me add on to that. The most important piece of advice is for younger people to never be afraid to learn.
Yes.
Never act like you know everything. You know,
oh yes, please.
You you don't know what you don't know, right? And don't be afraid to say you don't know. Take advice from people of from leaders from the past or current leaders. Be a vessel of just knowledge and just soak up everything that you can get, and just every day I'm learning something new. Never be afraid to learn.
And listen to your moms.
And listen to your mother and your father, and pray daily and take your vitamins.
Well, Joel, thank you so much, Joel. It
Thank
was
you.
amazing
Yes,
to
ma'am.
share the studio with you. Now, I'm going to invite you every time that Orlando is not here. You're going to be my co-host.
Great. I don't have the eyes like Orlando, but
No, but
yeah.
you know what? But it was very refreshing having you
you.
in the studio.
I mean, I'm almost a Cuban. I got a Castro last name, so I don't know.
Yeah, almost.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you so much for being with us. Please go to our website, TexasLatinoConservatives.com, TexasLatinoConservatives.com. We have all our future events, and stay tuned with everything that we're putting there, because we're going to have very soon Leadership Latino in August, so you can be part of that amazing program that we have. Of course, make a contribution, become a member, and just support our cause. Muchas gracias por habernos acompañado. Nos vemos el próximo miércoles con más de esta carrera política y todos estos valores que estamos nosotros llevando y difundiendo de la manera conservadora para que siempre estén con nosotros. Así que nos vemos el próximo miércoles. Chao, chao.